Welcome to the Aviation Pros Podcast, the go-to platform for professionals in the aviation industry. Powered by AviationPros.com, the leading source for comprehensive news, insights, and data on airport operations. Whether you're focused on airport management, improvement programs, ground handling, equipment, MRO, or FBO operations, we've got you covered with the expertise and resources you need to stay ahead.
Hello, everyone. This is Jenny Lesko here, editor of Ground Support Worldwide, and today I am here with Erin O'Donnell, president of HiSERV North America. Hello, Erin. How are you today?
Hi, Jenny. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast today.
Well, welcome. I'm looking forward to hearing about the changes that have happened with HiSERV. Can you start by telling us a little bit about yourself and the news? Because there has been some big news that's happened.
Absolutely. HiSERV North America has launched, and it's been a wonderfully successful launch with positive response from both airlines, ground handlers, airports. The entire aviation industry has welcomed us with open arms in North America.
So is your history with aviation, does it go way back, or are you new to the industry? Kind of paint us a picture of your background.
I have been in the industry since I was 16 years old, and my first job was an intern at Chicago Midway Airport. But more recently, I joined HiSERV North America in January of 2025 to lead its launch into North America. Prior to that, I was with another GSE leasing company and grew that to be one of the largest in North America. And prior to joining that company, I was the airport director at Chicago Midway International Airport for 22 years. I had over a 30-year career with the City of Chicago Department of Aviation. And so aviation and the smell of jet fuel has been in my blood since I was a teenager.
Well, I'm interested to know what you did when you were 16 at Midway. What was your role?
Well, I was the first intern the airport ever had. And so we developed that role together, but I was there to support anyone. I worked in the airport operations team. I worked in the airport administration. I got coffee. I filed. I did everything that one would expect an intern to do. What I didn't know that job was going to do was lead me to this lifelong career in aviation and be able to grow my career in Chicago, working at both Midway and then O'Hare, and then back in 1997 to lead Midway while we were going through the new terminal development program. And so that was the most fantastic job. I loved every aspect of it. I learned so much during my tenure there, not only managing large-scale projects. We invested over $2 billion in airport infrastructure during my tenure, but also leveraging relationships. Southwest Airlines grew their network at Midway to be the largest airport in their entire network. And so I was surrounded by a fantastic team of professionals, and it was one of the best jobs I've had.
That sounds amazing. And it's exciting for me because I'm also a Chicagoan, a native Chicagoan. So, it's nice I can relate to everything you're saying because I've been to all these places and, I understand that Chicago pride. HiSERV has built a strong presence in Europe before its expansion into North America. What have you seen so far? How are the two markets different?
Well, HiSERV has built a successful platform in Europe. They've been in business for over 10 years and really grew that market very strongly. They're at the core, the value proposition is the same, right? Our customers are looking for trusted partners to support their operations, partners that offer both financial strength and flexibility, but can support whatever they need in their operation, whether it's a short-term rental or a long-term lease, whether it's maintenance associated with it, or whether it's monetizing their fleet. And that's the successful platform that HiSERV has built in Europe and that we're bringing to North America. There are differences between the market in Europe. Leasing is far more common than it is in the United States. You also see full service leasing is more common, where the lease will include maintenance and other services. Primarily in the United States, only about 10% of the GSE is leased, and it is more dryer leases. But we see that changing and evolving, catching up with our European counterparts.
Just a little fun fact for you and the audience that if you don't know, my past professional life I was an editor for publications serving the equipment rental market. So when I was looking at the HiSERV website, this is all stuff that I've been familiar with for a long time, and it's exciting to apply it to a different niche, right? You mentioned only about 10% of GSE is leased. So back in the day, we used to call that the rental penetration. Is that something is it still referred to that in the aviation realm?
It is still referred to the same way, the leasing penetration, the rentals. We lump short-term rentals and long-term leases into one category, but the penetration rate in the United States is about 10%. And so there's a lot of opportunity to grow that as our customers, our airlines, ground handlers, and airports really rethink the way that they use their capital and to optimize the deployment of that capital for structures. There are other alternatives available with ground support equipment.
Okay. I mean, it seems like a natural environment for the leasing concept. And we at GSW, we just recently covered some news about the pooling aspect that I know is big in Europe. Is that something that HiServ offers as well?
Absolutely. It is definitely a more common concept in Europe, and HiSERV provides that service as well. We're looking to bring that expertise to North America. And there are some holding opportunities. As we know, the industry is watching what is happening at Kennedy. That is through leased equipment. So it's a great way for airport directors to employ leasing as a solution towards some of their strategic goals, whether they be ESG initiatives, whether it's operational, to minimize the number of vehicles that are on the ramp, whether it is to introduce safety using telemetry to sort of geofence ground support equipment so that it doesn't have runway incursions. There's a lot of boxes that get checked from an airport perspective by taking a look at the pooling concept and using leasing as the vehicle in order to do that.
Okay. Big question is why now for expanding into North America?
It's a great question, and it was all driven by our customers, right? Customer demand was the key driver of why North America now. Our customers want the HiSERV advantage in North America. They want a financially strong partner that can be reliable and that can support them. And we've built 10 years of strength in the European market, and those customers were looking for that same stability in North America. And then a second, of course, is the resiliency of the North American market, right? The aviation is very strong, whether it's passenger and cargo, very strong in the United States, and will continue on that trajectory. And it has weathered, all of the social economic challenges that have over the last, decades. Aviation has always come true and has always recovered, and we see that also, through many other times of the history of aviation. So, resilient market, it's a strong market, and it's a market that HiSERV wants to serve.
Okay. I'm going to walk us back a bit because I want to make sure I understood something correctly. When you were talking about the 10% penetration, if you will, of leasing, that was North America. Is that correct? Looking at Europe, how did that compare over there?
So it varies country to country, but if you take a look at Europe as a whole, it's roughly about 50% of the GSE assets are leased in Europe. And most of those are done under a full service lease where maintenance is included in that lease. So that's a different model than what exists here in the United States, where you have a lower penetration rate and you have mostly dry leasing. But I do think that there are opportunities for that to grow and to increase as our customers start to understand the value proposition that we bring to their operation. They can focus on whether you're an airline or a ground handler, you can focus on your core competency and allow us to focus on our core competency, which is to provide the equipment, have it maintained, have it available for you, use telemetry to help drive data so that you're making the right decisions to create your optimal fleet, and then allow us to provide that fleet, operate it, and maintain it. So you as the customer can focus on your core competency. It's about really finding a strong partner in HiSERV that we can actually be that arm, that outsourced arm for our customers.
Okay. You've confirmed for me that in Europe, the concept of leasing it comes more naturally probably across the board, whereas in North America, we're a little slower to embrace that idea. The ownership has always traditionally been a sort of a staple of the American mindset. So do you see that changing? I mean, how much work is it going to take to bring this industry into that acceptance? And is it pretty open to the concept of leasing versus owning GSE?
I think one of the great strengths of HiSERV is that we offer a spectrum of solutions because our custom has the spectrum of challenges, right? Everything from a short-term rental to a full sale leaseback of a fleet to monetize to gain capital, dry leasing and full service leasing and maintenance. So we offer a spectrum of solutions for our customers because everybody has different pain points. Everyone has different challenges that they're trying to solve for. So it's not a one size fits all solution. It's about having a partner in HiSERV that can give you the depth and breadth of experience, of financial stability, and for operational excellency. And so the industry, I think, is changing. You see what's happening in Kennedy with the 2 terminals that they've introduced pooling. I think that that's something that 10, 15 years ago may not have even been a reality. And so I think the time is right. I think as airlines and ground handlers evaluate how they deploy their capital, knowing that they have other partners and other avenues that they could utilize for ground support equipment will allow them to then leverage those limited capital resources to higher strategic goals. Also, when we talk about the electrification of the industry, in some cases, that's a huge capital request to do that, whether you're at a small hub airport or a large hub airport. The amount of capital that's needed for electrification of fleets in most cases requires a partner. And that's why HiSERV is well positioned and ready to partner for those transitions.
I'm glad you brought that up. Obviously, the infrastructure for that is one of the stumbling blocks that we talk about regularly. What can you tell me about what you've heard, on the street about how that's coming along?
So the electrical infrastructure is certainly a challenge to adoption of electrification of assets, not just in the world of GSE, but across all industries, whether it's vehicles, trucking, bus transportation, et cetera. It's the electrical infrastructure. I do think that there'll need to be a hybrid of solutions that are deployed in order to meet the demand. At airports, though, we see when airports are doing terminal redevelopment programs, bringing that additional electrical infrastructure to those terminals is paramount. And then allows then for an easier transition to electric GSE fleets. So I think that those are probably the most opportune locations for marrying up the ESG initiatives with the capital infrastructure of having electrical capacity available, marrying those 2 initiatives up. Where you see there isn't electrical infrastructure, you see the industry coming up with solutions. There are many mobile charging units that are available through different manufacturers that can be a temporary solution. Clearly not a long-term solution, but a temporary solution. I think that you will continue to see additional adoption of electrical vehicles being utilized in our space. I don't know that you'll get to a full electric fleet. And so I think that there's probably a sweet spot there of balancing fossil fuel with electrification and being able to marry the 2 across. As you take a look at, the more than 400 airports that have commercial service across the country, there's a lot of opportunity to find the right solution for each individual airport.
One of the things I know that HiSERV offers is, the data aspect, the management of that data. Can you tell us how that works for your customers?
Absolutely. I like to say that data is the queen of the ramp, right? The customer that understands how to pull that data, leverage it, and utilize it efficiently will be the most successful. And at HiSERV, we offer smart fleet and smart tracking functions really to leverage that data with our industry expertise to help our customers build their optimal fleets and then also be able to operate and maintain that fleet for them to ensure their operational reliability. So really leveraging that data, leveraging the technology is what's essential for the future of ramp operations.
When a company like HiSERV jumps into a market like this, what does it look like? Like, where are you currently and what's in the works? And just kind of, if you could illustrate for us the status of that transition.
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, it's the people, right? And so we've got a wonderful reputation in Europe with 10 years of experience and that dynamic team in Europe. I'm very fortunate that Matt Weitzel is on the HiSERV North America team as VP of Sales, joined also by David Farias as Director of Sales. And Matt and David are industry veterans and well-known and respected professionals in our space. And so the team is really focused on reaching out to all of our customers, airlines, ground handlers, and airports, and being able to really solve their challenges when it comes to ground support equipment, whether it is electrification at a certain station or it's peak season rentals for another customer, or if it is we need to refurbish our entire fleet because, or this asset class within our entire fleet, really taking a look at those spectrum of challenges and bringing those solutions. It's been an exciting 2 months. We've been in business, and the response, as I mentioned, has been incredibly positive. We're very grateful and blessed by the positive feedback that we've gotten from our customers, and I'm very excited what the future holds.
I am too. I think this sounds like like we're going to have some more news coming from you guys soon. And with that, what do you see coming in the future, for the next few years? How do you see the industry changing? What do you think the ramp's going to look like at that point?
Well, the one thing about aviation is that we're always focused on continuous improvement. And so that will continue. I think leveraging technology is going to be at the forefront, whether it is in data collection through telemetry or autonomous fleets. I think the use of autonomous on the ramp we've only begun to scratch the surface of the potential opportunities there. And so really taking a look at how do we leverage technology and to create the most reliable and efficient operation out on the ramp, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. We want to move those planes and those passenger and cargo most efficiently, and the safe environment, and really be able to provide reliable service to the traveling public.
All right. Okay. Anything else you want to let our audience know about what's happening at HiSERV, or have we covered all the bases?
I think this has been a comprehensive interview, but obviously HiSERV brings together the experience, over 15,000 assets that we have deployed in Europe at over 50 airports in 13 countries. We bring that expertise, we bring that experience, we bring that knowledge to North America to grow across these wonderful 50 states and into Canada. So there's a lot of opportunity, and we look forward to partnering with everyone.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for being with us today, Erin. I hope you'll keep us posted as things go forward.
Thank you, Jenny. Have a great day.
You too.
Thanks for tuning in to the Aviation Pros podcast. Stay ahead in airport operations and leadership by subscribing to our Airport Business Daily newsletter, your go-to source for the latest industry insights. And don't forget to explore even more at AviationPros.com, the home of exclusive content for aviation professionals like you. I'm Joe Petrie. We'll catch you next time.